Now, today's Paralegal Power Breaks is avoid being a cybercrime victim. And what prompted this Power Break is really to alert paralegals to the fact that there are some specific phishing attacks that are targeted at law firms. So you need to be on the lookout and be careful, when you're receiving emails. Some emails, I know I receive, like my company receives emails, faxes through email. So you'll get an email that says you receive a fax. Well, some of these phishing attacks are in your email header. It may say that it's a fax, that you have a fax. Also, if you have some systems that send you emails or voice messages, you may get one like that too. So you have to be able to spot a phishing email and see what it looks like. What cybercrime, just to give a general overview of what that is. What that is you have criminals find ways to commit crime. So with the internet, there's ways to commit crime. There's ways, if you've heard, there was, I don't know if that was about a year or two ago, where Target, their system was hacked into. The government system has been hacked into. So there's really no industry or no entity that is not vulnerable for these attacks. A lot of times what happens is the data is stolen. It may be private information, social security numbers, identification that can be sold to, people in this, this black market that sell information. But with this particular attack, this was in the legal text. You can go to our blog and click on, for today's Power Break, you'll see it afterwards, you will see the link to the recording. So click on that article, because in that article it talks more about this specific incident that occurred, I believe it was last year, or at the end of last year, where law firms were targeted, where there was an email that was sent to law firms in some specific states. I think Maryland was one, I think Texas was another, where in the email subject line, it would say that, or it would look like it's from the office of the state attorney. And it may say something like, you're being sued, open, for information about it. So a law firm, unsuspecting, would open this, and what this would do is it's a phishing email. So once that's open and it's clicked on, it puts this malicious coding on a computer. So this allows information to be hacked. And in this particular instance, I believe it was a ransomware. Ransomware is where data is, we've heard of ransom. Someone is typically kidnapped, and until that person until a sum of money is paid, that person is held, pretty much hostage. Same thing, like data is held hostage. So this coding, this malicious, some type of, I'm not going to say a program, but some type of computer system or whatever it is that, these people that really have a lot of experience in IT put on a computer, pretty much locks the computer, the data down. So the law firm is not able to access their data. So in this particular article, you can go to and read more about it. It talks about how it's meant to shock the person quickly to make a decision. So let's say, for instance, if you get sent this email and it locks down all of your data, you can't get into your client's file, you can't really work on cases, and you're asked to send a sum of money. Well, a lot of times what happens was they will send the money. They will send this money so that they can have their data released. Now, there is ways to detect, to see if this is even, before you open it, to see if it's even valid. Like the from, not just the from company or the from person, but look at the email address. I know like in Microsoft Outlook, you can do a preview of the email before you even open it. So in that preview, you can see who it's being sent by. So if it's something like an email address, a government entity, they have their domain name is going to have a .gov in it. It's not going to be like from like Outlook or some weird long email address. So if you see that, then become suspicious. You don't necessarily may want to ignore it. Two reasons for not ignoring it. One, it may be, because an email may not necessarily be from a government entity. It could be from a law firm. And some law firms don't have, they may still be using Gmail or Outlook email addresses. So you don't want to dismiss an email because it may be something serious. You also don't want to dismiss it because if there is some type of malicious coding in it, if you dismiss it, and let's say, for instance, one day you accidentally click on it or something else, or let's say someone else, that email was sent to someone else in the firm, and they don't do their due diligence like you do. They just open it up. They're not suspicious. They just open it up. And now the whole firm server is affected. So what you want to do is, if it looks fishy, assume that it is. You always want to err on the side that something's not right, if it doesn't look right. If it comes out to be legit, you're fine. But if it's not and you open it up, then now you cause some harm to your firm, not just yourself, but your entire organization. So if you receive an email and it looks fishy, alert your IT department. Alert if you don't have an IT department, if you work in a small firm, let your manager, the attorney or the manager, look, I got this email. It looks, doesn't look like it's official. Have we been already involved in a suit with this particular person, or does this look familiar? Whatever. You can do some brainstorming back and forth to try to determine if this is legit. A call can be made instead of responding to the email. If there's a certain attorney's name on it, calling that attorney, hey, could you send this email over? So that's a way to deal with it versus actually opening it up. So, first, when you receive an email, or again, some emails will say that it's a fax. If you get e-faxes, if you get voicemail messages, be aware of those also. You should know the domain name of the provider that provides your company faxes or provides your company voicemail. That domain name should always be the same. So if you receive a fax or an email that's, an e-fax or a voicemail message, if it looks different than your normal one, then don't open that one. Because, always, or if it looks fishy, a lot of times it is. Now, I just mentioned how to spot phishing emails. Look at the from, not the from person, like it's from someone. Look at the email that it's from. Look at the domain name from who it's from. And if you don't know the person, if you don't know, let's say, for instance, I gave the example with the email from the office of the Attorney General. Now, it may look official, and so just seeing that may just, what happened, what the purpose was, it's like, oh my God, we're being, one of our clients, or we're being sued, or we're being, a complaint being filed against their initial reaction is just to open and see what's going on. And then that's when this malicious coding is placed onto a computer that can infect an entire server. So don't, resist the urge to open it when it looks urgent before you can look at it. Then Microsoft has the preview, and a lot of other email clients will have that too, where you can look at the subject, you can look at the subject, you can look at the from address, email address, as well as the body of the email without even opening the email up. Because it's the opening, not just the opening of the email, it's that there's an attachment. A lot of law firms receive attachments in their email. When you open that attachment, that's where that malicious coding is at, a lot of times. Always report suspicious emails to your IT department. If you do not have an IT department, report it to a manager. They may not even be aware of themselves. So you may want to send them a link to that article, just letting them know that this is something that this was specifically targeted at law firms. And what was mentioned in this article is the fact that if there was no success in getting money or from law firms, then it would not have been repeated, because this was, I think, the second one that was sent. So this was success, so that's why it's being duplicated, being done again. So law firms, as savvy as legal professionals are falling prey to cyber criminals because of their, lack of knowledge about IT and how this works. So, you may want to forward that email over, if you receive something that was suspicious, and if it's difficult in explaining, what it is that you're trying to say about this email and the harm of it, just send an email over there, the article over explains a lot more about ransomware, about phishing emails, about a little bit about cybercrime in general. And also when you're on social media sites, this is just online safety in general. As legal professionals, you just have to be really, really cautious about the things that you do. Because some cases that you work on can be very difficult, can be very controversial, and you never know. You never know what, who may try to, opposing counsel trying to get information from you. There's something called corporate espionage, where with corporate espionage, what occurs is that someone, a company, rival company, this a lot of times happens with big corporations. They might be creating a new formula, some new project that's underway, and their competitors, we don't think that happens because we think business is so, hopefully we don't think this, but it's so clean, they just do what's right all the time, which is not true. We have corporate espionage where some companies will actually hire people, they're spies, like where countries have spies. Companies have spies as well, where they will go in and they will try to steal information from other companies. One way to do that is to hack into computers. You can, on social media sites, friend people, get information that way. So be careful and, don't always think that this stuff just happens in the movie. Don't be a naive legal professional when you're working, especially if you work in civil litigation, you work in criminal law, even if you work in intellectual property, because as I mentioned, corporate espionage has a lot to do with stealing secrets. A lot of companies have trade secrets. They have secrets where they develop certain formulas. And just think of technology. Some company comes out with this new technology and it takes over the whole industry. Well, these are secrets that these companies don't want to be let out before it's time. So there's a lot of underhanded things that go on out there. So just be aware, be knowledgeable, and protect yourself. So again, with your emails and everything, look at, before you open it, look at the from. If it looks fishy, assume that it is. Look at the from email address. If it looks like it's from an official body, still look at the from address. Email from government entities are going to have like a .gov. They're not going to have like an Outlook. And it's not like law firms. Law firms can still use Gmail, Outlook. They can use whatever domain, whatever they want. They may not use a domain name, maybe a small firm. So those might be a little bit more difficult to detect. But, just be aware, has your company done or your firm, are they familiar with that lawyer? A lot of law, if you go in and ask your manager, your attorney, they'll be familiar with the name. If they're not, then there could be more convenience that step. And again, a simple call can be made. So, look at your emails, make sure that you're, on alert so that you do not become a victim of cybercrime and, allow someone to unleash malicious coding onto the computer. This will pretty much lock down the data on an entire firm server, or viruses. Viruses can be placed on computers as well, which can create create a huge nightmare or stealing of information as well if someone gets access to their computer or your server. So just be aware and be informed. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this session up. You can reach out on rainmakersonline.com. There's a contact button on the lower right. That's the best way to reach out. Info at Rainmakers Online, email address, or phone, 800-530-6068. I hope you found this session useful. Tomorrow session, if you have not signed up, if you're interested, it will be on eDiscovery 101. And then on Thursday, there will be a session on metadata. Metadata, what you need to know about metadata. And so you can go to our blog and go to the Paralegal Power Breaks category and register for any of our upcoming sessions, as well as accessing previous sessions if you were not able to join those. So thank you for your time, and hopefully this session was useful. And I will type in the link to that article so that you can access